Right, bud. There it is. Hello. Did you? Uh-oh. What happened? What'd you do? Hello. Okay, hi. Good evening, everybody. My name is Tony Plocido. Welcome to Poets and Pints number 113. That's right, we've been going for a while, and we have our 10-year anniversary in February, but I'll tell you more about that later. Tonight we have a wonderful show. First, though, I want to bring up the curator, or one of the members of the curators of tonight's show. Tonight's show is brought to you by Coffeehouse Press. So I'm going to bring up Laura. She's going to tell you a little bit about Coffeehouse Press.
Well, first off, thank you everybody for braving the traffic. That was atrocious. Oh my goodness. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. We are super excited to share just a nice evening of poetry with you. So a little bit about Coffeehouse Press. We are one of Minneapolis's independent presses. We are a nonprofit, which means that we basically subsist pretty much entirely off of donations and kind of just the generosity of our community. And we love being here in the Twin Cities because it really is such a generous community. You can check out more about us on our website, coffeehousepress.org. We publish loads of stuff, loads of poetry, of course. We've also got fiction, a lot of translated works, a lot of nonfiction, creative nonfiction, just a lot of really fun stuff to explore. Somebody was asking earlier, if you could give us like the vibe of Coffeehouse Press, and I was saying we've got a pretty popular sticker that says experimental literature about death. So I think that says a lot. But yeah, we're so excited for tonight. Like I said, we've got the 3 local poets for you. We've got Sarah Fox, Steve Healey, and Moheb Soliman. And yeah, we're very excited for this. Thanks so much, and thank you, Tony.
Mm-hmm. So yes, I had surgery yesterday on my hand, so that's what the whole deal is there. Head, trigger finger. So be careful when you use your computers; they'll bite back. So now I'm going to bring up Charlie, who is about to leave us for good because he's mean. But before he does move away, he's going to read us a poem from a poet you might not know. Charlie.
All right, this poet is Deborah Landau. Does anybody know who she is?
No.
Yeah. Oh, we succeed. You do? Somewhere?
Yeah.
All right. So this is a really good record. All right, it's called While It's Happening. Other people were always talking in the cafes. The girls were young, the women were old, the men were always men. Touraine to Bretagne, Bretagne to Charlotte. It's good to walk slowly, to feel what's under one's feet. It's good to breathe the heavy sooted air, to pass the men smoking in front of Le Progrès. The dogs have their walks, les enfants, en rue de Bellienne, the paintings hung jade and cyan. And as you're signing so alive it startles, and the pigeons are lulling, a seduction, careful what you're gonna do. Must I be abstemious? Must I be pure? A woman enters summer, leaving behind a past. It's fizzled magic. Salut, says the sky. The days go on and on, a diminishing bliss. Seeping out of the horizon, down by the river, people are dancing. a kind of sex in the open air. And the birds have something to say. The moon has something, the trash does, even the rats. Dear summer, increase my heat. Dear summer, another pastiche. Another daybreak with full breach. The days flip by and fleet the nights, and back on the bed again, these finite pages, the years. But why grieve? You are breathing.
Thank you. All right, now, just got shocked. We'll bring up our first featured poet for the evening, who is Steve Healey. He's an author of 3 books of poetry, Earthling, 10 Mississippi, and most recently, Safe Houses I Have Known, which was a finalist for both the Believer Book Award and the Minnesota Book Award. His poems have appeared in magazines such as American Poetry Review, Fence, and The Nation, along with various other anthologies, including The New Census, an anthology of contemporary American poetry. He teaches English and creative writing at Minneapolis College. Please put your hands together for Steve Healey.
Hello. I teach right over there, right across that mess that's out there right now. Thank you all for being here. I can't see you at all. The lights, the bright lights. There's a lot happening out there. Construction, traffic, and Lynx fans? Anybody? Have you heard of the Minnesota Lynx? Sorry, I know poetry and sports don't always go together, but I have developed a kind of fascination with the Minnesota Lynx and an appreciation. So they're just a few blocks that way playing in the WNBA finals as we speak, literally. So if I see you checking the score on your phone, it's cool. It's all right. Thank you all. I'm so happy to read with my old friend Sarah. Yeah. No, not that you're old, but we are old together, right? And my new friend, my new friend Moheb. And thank you, Coffeehouse people, so much for being here. I hope you're getting paid like time and a half for this. And thanks to Poets and Pints. Yeah, right on. So this book is called Safe Houses I've Known, and it is focused mostly on my experience as a kid growing up with a father who happened to be a spy for the CIA. And so I would say, more than half of the poems are directly addressing that experience. But I'm kind of sick of that story right now. So I'm kind of sick of myself. And so I want to read other poems. So I'm going to veer away from that narrative and read just a couple of other poems from the book that don't address that directly. If you're interested, I think there's copies of this over there for sale. So if you want to read about having a spy father, that it's really true. He really was. This one is called Civilization. It's not about spying, really. It's more of a context poem. Civilization. This morning, I pay $109 to have my cat killed because he's almost dead. I hold him in the sterile room, crying and crying until someone comes with the syringe. Later, I'm still a monster, and upon that monster it cries and cries, a mother load of snow, and I disappear until the spring melts. The alarm clock turns green because it's time to wake up. All the trees making green plans, all the bodies becoming soil, all 56 ongoing armed conflicts around the planet seen from outer space. But now all I can see is this monster poem, This poem witnessing its own monstrosity as the spring sun comes closer, conjuring baby green leaves from their buds. My daughter wants to glue glitter to everything, or cut everything up with scissors, marshmallow clouds sailing over the recycling plant, the sad red van parked near the group home on Selby, selling drugs to the recovering drug addicts, the IMAX movie about a single breath, the one breath ever breathed, the hole in which we placed the cardboard box in which we placed our dead cat. Later in the dark, I sing Amazing Grace, my daughter so close to sleep, the streetlight in the alley turns on. Thank you so much. I love those mms, the poetry mms. That feels good. No pressure though. This one, do you all remember the phrase, I grew up in the 20th century, right? And Cold War, have you heard of that? And so there's a lot of Cold War poems in here. But I was thinking about that phrase, subliminal advertising. We used to use that when I was growing up, as if like some ads had like secret messages in them, But then we realized like they all do, and it's. And then the first line of this poem is from a Camel cigarette ad. This just like blew me away when I like really thought about it. It's like an advertising slogan. I'd walk a mile for a Camel. Y'all know that? That was like a long-running Camel cigarette like tagline slogan. And it's just incredible. I'd walk a mile for a Camel. That's amazing. All right, here it goes. This is called subliminal advertisement. I'd walk a mile for a camel. Moreover, said Thoreau, you must walk like a camel. Therefore, with 4 crooked legs, I'd walk a crooked mile across an Egyptian desert. I'd saunter like a furry comma through the Mall of America, elevating my heart rate for 20 minutes. I'd haul my humps all the way to Guacamora if waiting for me at the finish line were a tasty, factory-made cigarette. In addition, it is said that Jesus said that it's easier for a camel to pass through a needle's eye than for a crooked man to enter the kingdom of Guacamora. It's also said that camels store water in their humps, but that's not true. Over time, they've adapted to long journeys with little water. They retain it in their kidneys and intestines so efficiently, their urine is thick syrup, their feces dry enough to fuel fires. Furthermore, according to Thoreau, camels are the only beasts who ruminate while walking. They eat, then regurgitate what they eat, then chew what they regurgitate to enjoy it again, all the while walking a mile through their crooked thoughts. Camels, in other words, are thoughtful vehicles, and according to Jesus, they're the only beast to have they're the only beast to have replaced the wheel where it had already been established prior to the invention of the internal combustion engine. Thus, they're ideal for the second coming. And when they finally cross the finish line and swallow that cud, it's time to have a camel and walk no more crooked miles. The fires of Guacamora are ready to touch my lips. Okay. One more from the book. This one is I wrote this in 2017. If you remember what that year was like, Donald Trump had just become president, and I wrote this poems, or I was asked to write a poem to be included in an anthology. They were all the poems were responses to the Trump presidency right after he took office. So this poem is called "Okay," and it uses an epigraph that's a well-known quote from Trump. I'm sure you all will remember this. And then I just took it and I sort of sampled it and riffed on it and mangled it and whatever. Okay, so the epigraph is, I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters. Okay? It's like incredible. And of course, unfortunately, this poem seems just as relevant now as it was then. So these are maddening times. All right, here we go. Okay. I could stand in the middle of being quoted as pointing a gun at somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue, as saying my feet could stand in the middle of my skin and shoot somebody. If it could be somebody like you hearing my description of a bullet making a hole quoted as splattering blood across Fifth Avenue, across stopped cars and faces of shoppers, standing in the middle of my words, and I wouldn't lose any love as somebody collapses onto Fifth Avenue. This incredible flower of blood gushes from the bullet hole without losing any voters, because this flower says, this microphone grows, my voice goes off message into a field of blood flowers like they're waiting for incredible raindrops, thirsty for my tears, in the middle of quotes about what I could do. What if I get on my knees beside somebody dying on Fifth Avenue? I could lie down in the middle of my skin and like press my face against your very dying face and cry tears and say, I'm sorry, I love you so much. Please stay alive. Please don't die. And I wouldn't lose. Okay. One more poem. And that'll be it. This is a new one, newish, called Outside. Thank you again for being here. And then Sarah's up next. It's called Outside. I've never read this before in front of people. Here we go. When my friend calls me and says he wants to die, but not exactly in those words, I'm at the ocean with all the ghosts who follow you around. It's a different ocean every time you turn around. You're 7 years old and keep digging a moat to protect the sandcastle, but the surf keeps coming. My friend says it's just one thing after another. You think a problem has passed and a new one comes. Your gums recede, your fence rots, bats leave piles of shit in your attic. News travels 12,000 miles to your prefrontal cortex. Somewhere a neon orange sunset shines through a hole in a soldier, his eyes wide open, a wave I photographed just before it crashes on the sandy shore, the whole planet holding its breath, trying to look calm, as if your next sneeze would not subtract 7 years from the lives of your children, as if that horseshoe crab were not lying on its back, its legs flailing toward the sky, as if an orchestra were not arranging itself among the tall grasses and beach plums, almost ready to begin, as if the wind didn't make the sound of wind. None of us were letting go, and outside the universe, nothing waited for us. Thank you.
Keep it going for Steve Healey. All right. Coming up next is Sarah Fox. Sarah Fox is an integrative and psychedelic assisted psychotherapist. She is the author of poetry collections Because Why and The First Flag, both from Coffeehouse Press, and is currently working on a hybrid text entitled Mother Substance. She lives in the West Side neighborhood of St. Paul. Everybody, please put your hands together for Sarah Fox.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be here with all of you tonight. Can you hear me okay?
Hold on. Let me
You
fix.
might wanna.
Whoops. Hold on. You got it. We got it. In a second. There we go.
Perfect.
No,
How's
it's
that?
still a little low.
No?
There we go. That's better.
Good? Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Good. So glad to be here with you. Actually, I brought you all a little present from my garden. It's rosemary. I just have so much. It's abundant and it really smells so good. So I'll just let you, do you want to take and pass it along? Thanks. Rosemary symbolizes remembrance, and it's really medicinal for enhancing memory. It also grows throughout Palestine and is used in their cuisine and beauty products. I'm going to start with a poem by June Jordan. And this is a poem that's going to commemorate the full moon, the October full moon. Have y'all seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in Aries. It's pretty cool. And it's a ghazal. A ghazal is a form of poetry. It's an Arabic form of poetry in which the poem expresses both the deep pain and the beauty of love. And it usually will end with the poet's pen name or some version of the poet's pen name. So this is called Ghazal at Full Moon by June Jordan. This was written in 1989. I try to describe how this aching begins or how it began with an obsolete coin and the obsolete head of an obsolete Indian. Holding a nickel, I beheld a buffalo. I beheld the silver face of a man who might be your father, a dead man, an Indian. I thought Indians pray, Indians dance, but mostly Indians do not live in the USA, we said. The only good Indian is a dead Indian. Dumb like Christopher Columbus, I could not factor out the obvious denominator. Guatemala, Wisconsin, Jamaica, Colorado, Indian. Nicaragua and Brazil, Arizona, Illinois, North Dakota, and New Mexico, the indigenous, the shining and the shadow of the eye is the Indian. 1,056,537,000 people breathing in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all of them Indian. Oco Rios, Oklahoma, Las Vegas, Pearl Lagoon, Chicago, Bombay, Liverpool, Lahore, Glasgow, Indian. From a London pub among the lager louts to Machu Picchu, I am following an irresistible, a tenuous, a livid profile, Indian. I find a surging lattice work inside the merciless detritus of diaspora. We go from death to death, who see any difference here from Indian. The voice desiring your tongue transmits from the light of the clouds as it can, Indian. This is probably the first time I've done like an actual bona fide poetry reading in almost maybe 10 years. So it's a little bit scary. And I don't really write a lot of poetry anymore. I write a lot. I write and fill out legal pads and do a lot of writing, but usually it's not, well, it's never. I'm not like driven to formally make something for public consumption. But I felt very called to try to do that, to take a risk to do that tonight. I'm so grateful for the invitation. Thank you so much for inviting me. And it just seems like it's a moment that, I don't know about you, but like I'm often really drowning in my phone, looking at like the collapse of everything. And so I just felt like I should take the opportunity to take a risk. So this is very new, very raw. I don't even know if it's a poem, but I'm gonna call it that, and it's called This is the Poem That Never Ends. It is October on planet Earth again. Yellow moment predicting the crumbling of time, the fading gasps of what we might call the collective noun of the human heart. The heart of the matter as the mother substance, a mother tongue, eating the leaves of October, of time, again in October, again. Words, and more words. My English words encased in the spoils of empire? What sunken treasure might suddenly produce the appropriate word for stopping the monsters from devouring our heart? World's last days arriving on the back of a hamstrung horse. The wolf swallows the serpent. The tree of the great mother melts into a lake of lava, fusing as a giant mouth, very graves of the gods. A death below death swarms open, swallowing stars, swallowing air and sound and time. Even all these flames transcend the scope of human perception, as though they could lap up the essence of God, a human word, the English version, a dull sound, almost a minor key, God, almost a whole. A word imposed upon me by our Father, like a hand reaching out of the clouds to cut my scalp, to trouble the soft spot, little pond, like a hypodermic needle injecting the substances of language and their preservative toxins into my brain, a metonymy for planet, injecting into the bottommost fish in the deepest, most constant night at the very bottom of the world as we know it. What does Rilke say about dragons and princesses? And does it or anything matter? Matter, materia, aka wood, wild matriarchy, our mother who art as earth, as substance to be birthed from. Are you dragon or are you princess? Bird or missile? Falling leaves or falling leaflets? A crate of eight or a waterfall of bullets? A drone or a man? Are you cancer or are you love? The heart, our human hive, both womb and queen, both earth and sky, riddled with October leaves and a million bombs, each named mother in the falsest vernacular of the English tongue. Ivy drips versus quadrocopter, penis envy versus golden teachers, synthetic versus the northern lights, evil versus live, breath versus death. To be fucked by language, fucked over by the words freedom or ceasefire, the words Biden or Netanyahu, the words money or taxes. To be made love to by a mother tongue, laid siege to by saturated bombing. The words police and riot and hurricane and taxes. Oh, Allah, Mother Mary, Jimmy Carter, Pope the 30th, Aphrodite, Bodhisattva, Loch Ness Monster. De-detonate from common usage the words genocide, ecocide, femicide, linguicide. The word empire comes from the Latin word imperium, which means authority over family members and slaves exercised by the head of a household or a supreme ruler. Whereas water is life, which empire gulps down its unctuous throat. Is poetry an avatar for Mother Earth? Words or sound, form or content, dragon or princess, bullets or box elder bugs, stone or shrapnel, vacuum or birthday wish, medicine or poison? Why should the angels stay finally glued to the roof of the sky while the baby burns and bleeds out through the manger? Children plugging their ears to drown out the sounds produced by the word bomb. Their bodies shattered, a limb here, a limb there, ring around the rosy, their trembling torsos swaddled in dirty gauze. Having only just learned the words puppy, toy, fire, ghost, before their mother, martyr, could teach them the words pain and death. Their actual and beautiful mother who had cradled the fragile word safe in her heartbeat like a paper crane, an unfrightened bird, its dismembered shadow fluttering on broken walls, hanging by a thread from the tree of life, a wild chorus galloping off its wings into the loud and terrible wind. Childhood itself a baffling planet, peopled more and more by ash-faced loners who had crowned and were birthed from the rubble. How unbearably impossible it has become to bear responsibility, to respond, to bear fruit, bear the moment, the weight of never generations, the man in the woods, the bear asleep in our hearts. Climb away, O rascal children of Gaza, on the wings of these yellow October leaves, as you sing in your chains like the sea. And that last little stanza reference a poem by Khalid Juma, The Rascal Children of Gaza, and also Dylan Thomas, Fernhill. I had to memorize that poem in 10th grade, Fernhill, and I actually still remember it. It's nice. Okay, I'm gonna close with a poem by a man named Marcellus Williams. He was actually executed last month by the state of Missouri. You probably saw the news about him, despite abundant evidence that to his innocence. And this is a poem he wrote the very last days or weeks of his life. It's called The Perplexing Smiles of the Palestinian Children. Despite the actions of the few and excessive retaliation, drones, planes, bombs, tanks, rubble, buildings demolished, vanished houses and neighborhoods, hospitals targeted, UN shelters disrespected, murder, death, deliberate killing of non-combatants, babies burned alive, amputations, hunger, and political starvation, lack of or no water, strategic sanitation, daily terror, and terrorized daily, military maneuvering, moving here and there to return back again to nowhere, trauma with all its manifestations, international prayers and hesitation, defiance to the realization of two nations, global aid thwarted, global amnesia, siblings and relatives gone forever, parental worries in the face of apex arrogance and ethnic cleansing by any definition. Still your laughter can be heard, and somehow you are able to smile, O resilient children of Palestine. Thank you so much for listening.
Keep it going for Sarah Fox. All right. Our final featured poet for the evening is Moheb Soliman, who is an interdisciplinary poet from Egypt and the Midwest, who's presented work at literary, art, and public spaces around North America and abroad with the support of diverse institutions. His debut poetry collection, Homes, was a finalist for several awards and explores nature, modernity, identity, belonging, and sublimity? Yeah. Through the site of the Great Lakes bioregion and borderland. He lives in Minneapolis and he was a program director for the Arab American Arts Organization, MISNA, before receiving a multi-year Tulsa Artist Fellowship and recently a Milkweed Editions Fellowship. Everybody please put your hands together for Moheb Soliman.
It is nice and blinding up here. It's me, myself, and I.
How else can we make faces at you?
No, that's right. That's right. I see you. Oh no, and I see myself.
Welcome to the party.
Thank you.
You need help with that?
Yeah, I'm just. Thank you.
Actually, wrong one. This one.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there we go.
Cool. Thank you. It's just really nice to be here. I don't get to do readings very often, or maybe I just don't find my way into that space. So I just really means a lot, and it's great to read with folks, that I haven't really met before. So thank you. I feel like what I'm going to share with you today definitely kind of, finds its way between you. And so, that's always exciting to find those like strange overlaps. But yeah, let me jump into something that camels. How did you know? How you knew that? I'm going to read to you from a project that I've been working on for a long time, way too long. I remember way back, saying like, hey, Coffeehouse, what about this project? And, there was some excitement. I was like, show us some writing. And I was like, yes, I'll do that. Here I am a few years later with 3 poems to share with you from this project. So there was a US Camel Corps once upon a time in the 1850s. And it seems like every time you kind of think about history, it's like in the mid 1800s, that's where everything happened. When everything was, wild and terrible and free. I latched onto this kind of strange figure named Hi Jolly, or really Haji Ali, but his name wasn't really, people couldn't say Haji Ali for some reason. And so he was referred to affectionately as Hi Jolly. And he was like a camel herder that was brought over from, at the time, would have been Ottoman Syria, to help the US military conquer the last part of our nation, the Southwest. There was kind of, sovereign native, resistance. The Mormons were like attacking from the north. We needed to, get all of our people across the continent safely. So, they felt that a troop of camels would be superior to making that happen over horses. And in fact, that was true. But different accounts tell you that, the soldiers really hated the smell of camels and they scared horses. And there's just very strange history out there about the US Camel Corps. To me, it was a really extremely fascinating moment, especially because of, what I was imagining as, these animals and people who were brought over from the other side of the planet into an environment that in a lot of ways must have been similar, but of course, contextually, geopolitically, was really different. So there was just enough history out there to kind of really have something to work with, but a huge dearth of it. And so I've been working on this project, thinking about Hi Jolly or Haji Ali, and and trying to make history present, also trying to dig into what I feel like might have been, a lot of his darker human sides, perhaps, his own racisms, his own limitations, and sort of understanding himself as part of a nation building project. And so, yeah, I'm gonna read you a few poems from this project. So this one's called One More Ali Jolly Split. We left the ship and shared the night on seceded land, proud Texans told, annexed land to secede again by a vast and virgin gulf, by contrast to the gaping, used up Persian one at home. And this was home we stepped on now and left our rancid shoes by everyone else's at the stately gates. A land that breathed the smell of feet, hung in the face, like rugs from a newly dead relative put outside to be beat and pass their soul in whole, a complete end-to-end turd in the swirling vacuum of the night, with bigger, toothier, sharper stars than we had in our city lands back, not home. This land, a mat to possess, to prostrate yourself upon. Allah, give me strength, bruh, with my spasm back from journey, for more journey, into this bad deal. Owl, most strong and base and inconceivable, most prayer, predator, and nothing falls in between. He had the habit of his elders, littering God at the start and end of every sentence, but nothing was in the middle. Speculation, gold dust, map pricks, desert. He was a middleman between nothings, for Occidental empire across the globe, for manifest incontinent destiny here at home. Inside him, a skirmish-level mercenary, met a salesman, conversant in all the gods. And they went native and hybridized to something American. They went on the road, they went commercial, they went Humpty Dumpty. They went, I am the middleman, muscle man, muscle man. I went and helped and sold them all. Here's another attempt called Haji Ali Augurs Water, determines future again. For them, a desert is just the useless space between future densities. Westbound just to cut down a legendary mammoth tree and build a mansion with in wilds. Between destinies and origin story, self primeval. A gentle man of the eastern seaboard, descending from the August Mayflower. However generative the desert is, mining, meandering, mind melting is meaningless when you only came to reap, rope, and ride on. However virgin doesn't matter when you came to rape and leave the seed to go to seed. Their government knows better, but it's slow and far behind us in this land that is lined. That is territory. This is our job, to line up the desert haunches for others to brand their names of proprietors of first impropriety out west here down south, to pave the need for pastors and marshals of properties and meccas of gems and petrified wood. Imagine this. Desert then, rich in water roots and turquoise veins therein. One day they'll impel more water. One day they're gonna express it all from their thin lips. On money, to make more shoddy money and shitty water. They're gonna come back this way we're presently making from the drawling, drop, jowling west and mess their past. We only have the one pair, at least I do. But by golly, as they say to say, this jolly will never go back to the near ancient east of easts. This live edge is fine, but compass wide enough for me, my mind. I've learned to say, by God. Here's another attempt, and the more these poems kind of work themselves out, they kind of feel like a long poem, so maybe they sound the same. Yet again, Jolly reckons with the mission. We're at that point in the operation where the child will die and the mother will live, or they both die. There's no babe alone in the woods, and there's no family in this new world. It's been 200 some years of novelty for pillagers and connoisseurs of wilding and villages. Jolly, come, taste this, cunt, try that animal on, fuck this riverbed, would you believe in that? Rain, sex, sun, god stuff. It's almost charmingly blasphemous, and that's us. Indians and Easterners cast together like trinkets for them to grift a continental rift on. A not new, just unknown world. Metalware and mesquite, crosses, horses, and Hopi Bible. To finish up the desert portion of this feasting, I'll add 40 some camels and a Quran for arable land. Or lawn if you want to be fancy about the rhyme or reason of the ultimatum. For they are here to settle in for good and then fan out by the millions and put us on pedestals in town squares or at their feet on ottomans of terror-resistant patio sets and backyards of 2,000 some year, but whatever that bizarre premonition means, it is not yet. For this unbeknownst, unoriginal, not fertile, not barren yet, World, yes, she is. A yet world. With a nascent nation digging out her southwest hole. It will all happen just as they say and scheme and fantasize, just as they chart and mold and exterminate, just not yet, as they say. But in our life, our time, there's time for abominations yet. Thank you so much. I wanted to also share with you a few poems from this. My first book of poems came out with Coffeehouse, meant so much, worked on it so long. Still sort of just so alive in my mind. It's a book of kind of postmodern nature poems about the Great Lakes. So it's very much like a nature poetry project, but I wanted to just kind of pull out some poems. You know, you were saying like you wanted to leave some of the narratives behind in that book and kind of find other ones. This book also has like a lot of, autobiography and thinking about kind of my own family and immigration story in the Midwest in this like sprawling flyover land. There's a lot of identity kind of politics in this book, even though it's kind of trying to move past that and get to thinking about nature in our time. But in a weird way, it's very much like a book about, sort of a contemporary high jolly, trying to kind of figure out how to claim a place within the power structures that exist. So I thought I would just read a few of those. This is called Canadian Thanksgiving, North Michigan Afternoon. Do I have to make myself known with every step? The world's littered and loud with X beauty. Do I have to stay put where somebody may find me? Am I that lost? Can't they look? How can I have sense enough for perspective with eyes How can I have sense enough for perspective with eyes not at the sides of my face? I'm human. I've raked all the brightness into a blind spot, rolled in the back of my head where never mind is. I'll remember these maple leaves all suckered by pine trees. It's Thanksgiving in October, and how unsavory. Half Ontario, Huron, Erie, Superior, and how unseasonable Huron, Michigan. The wind tugs a second time, and the shuck falls a trickle, a dry run from my cowlick, scraping my scarred cheek to where my empty chest pocket is. Do I have to wear flannel leave-in sheets sleeping naked when? Do I have to wear flannel when sleeping, even for fuck's sake, to be accepted? Excuse me. Oh, to be naturalized into the country, the woods and water. I would do anything. I belong nowhere. I bought these Gander brand new leather boots, high neck and warm, and remind me of someone, and waterproof and elegant and hunting, and keep in any scent of my aliveness so no creature can know of me whenever I visit them. But how it's been so utterly mild, so blue here. This life, it's a shame not to wear them. I'll go out walking. I'll go down walking. I came in walking. I fell, I hit the ground walking. This is a poem called Back Parts. Back Parts. I've hit bottom, friends. Rock. To you. Your Mediterranean interred sea, where I am from. These are my dad's trunks. These are my dad's calves. These are my dad's chests. These are my dad's hands. This blood, my dad's. The sharks would come, but there are no sharks here. Where am I from, folks? We from? There's no predators here, save storms and waves of immigration, but all over the lakes are shaped like predators. Seething wolf, leering shark, mouths, points, shipwrecks stand a better chance of a homecoming than the packs of immigrants that beached a drowned wolf, blinded shark, tongues warped into Wendat and English, maiming limbs of peninsulas, ripshot creatures' claims for places that no one wants, stuck together families like amphibious gangs, growing back parts. I want to read one more, straight out of Ohio. I grew up in Ohio. Lake Erie is a very homely lake compared to Lake Superior. Some of you may have the unfortunate knowledge of that. We're pretty spoiled up here. But yeah, it really took a long time for me to understand kind of like the majesty and incredible beauty of the Great Lakes region when I grew up near Lake Erie. And this says it all. This poem's called Geneva State Park, No Sight of the Lake, Geneva on the Lake, Ohio. That's how it is there. Sorry. Just about my sister and I. Last night we snuck into the state park real late to sleep in my tent by the car on the paved driveway of a muddy site, drizzle invisible in a wood pervasive with knocked out buckeyes, corn-fed and golden-haired in the fires put out. A thick gauze sat whispering, undocumented. We gulped each half an orange watermelon. 2 itinerant sore thumbs stuck out in the wooded preserve among corn stalks. We feasted on watermelon as a family for dinner with feta, pita, Diet Coke. Last night we stole a night in our home state park, but didn't go down to mom and dad's. Didn't see the Cleveland relatives, Browns, Indians, games, mounds, grandma's grave. Last night it rained, and nothing heard the lake stir once from the downpour. The morning was too quiet, black and slick. We split for a diner then, always novel to us, before any sighting in the woods of us. Lights head low with the sun soon to clean its plate in the vapor of our gross great lake. Us, the vapor, that's our family. Thank you so much.
We've been going for Moheb Soliman. So we're going to take a break here in just a minute, but first I want to tell you, if you don't know, we are part of Cracked Walnut, which is the local chapter of the League of Minnesota Poets. You might see these tents on the table there. The League of Minnesota Poets is a nonprofit, so is Cracked Walnut. And so we're in turn also a nonprofit, so we live off of donations. So I'm gonna either pass around this box or there is a PayPal code right on here. If you want to donate, please do. It's not required. It is a free show. It will always be a free show. But if you can donate, we would appreciate it. It goes into a lot of poetry programs. It goes into making this show better. It goes into a lot of things. So we're going to take about 15 minutes, and then we'll come back and do some open mics, so don't go anywhere. Thanks. All right, next up we got Mugu. All right, to the stage.
I continue to focus on writing ghazals. Hopefully, slow progress, but still progress. Hopefully next year. This one's my latest. It's called Doors. A tear glides along the blades of the tall fescue. In its eye, I see stars holding doors. Touch and open to the beyond, the heart said. I did. I bewail the dissolving doors. Frivolous flutters, vacuous claws. Sparrows perch upon barrenness after each flight. I return to those roots I don't recognize. Each time I pass through these revolving doors. Life can no longer languish in the trenches between the words in those dog-eared scriptures. I listen to the divine inside. Stray sheep finds its pasture. I begin building doors. All the suns and moons beach on your pearled up shore. Whiffs of your salty breeze awaken me. Lift me up. I've held on to the limbs of your light that leak from atop these brimming doors. The keys to these doors are like the white seeds of blooming dandelions in the summer. You blow them around like a child. Each key I find brings us closer, opening doors. Hope is making a comeback, Michelle says. The strangling fog of fear is dissipating. Saunter with the stars along the horizon. I see you. I'm on my way, breaking doors. Thank you.
All right. Next up, I think this says Claire in. There we go. Come on up.
Hello. This piece I wrote from a writing prompt where the first line has to be 20 words, second one 19, and so on, all the way down till you get to 1. And it's written from a character from Tolkien, which is rare because it's a female, and rarer still, it's a female villain. And I find her to be kind of a beautiful monster. So, in honor of Spooky Month, this is my poem. Spindly webs, awash in the color of mountain shadow, a monstrous form ambled over the countless bones of child ghosts. Clicking mandibles, hissing lips, and vibrating hairs coursing over 8 limbs the length of tree trunks cast like iron. She was a dreadful shape, the embodiment of darkness, yet even shrouded in midnight, she was resplendent still. She walked the earth with an emptiness, unable to be filled, that stretched to the depths of molten stone. She drank all light and bitterness, as droplets from her mouth fell like drivel upon ash. For arachnid femininity, in all its striking forms, was unrelenting in its need to consume. She had no equal, no other being with whom she needed for comfort. None opposed her lest they find rest in the ground, choked by silk. When famine struck, she swallowed the life from her own womb. Belching twilight, she robbed the very stars from the sky. She held allegiance to none but her own dark desires. Nocturnal beauty, with eyes of onyx and crimson red, bone for bone, and crushed crypt black death, forever lurking between inky voids of shadow. She is the queen of unmaking, the ancient bride of corruption, devourer of life, bringer of shadow, anti-mother, Ungoliant. Thank you.
Next we have Christy.
Thank you. Can I have, so I haven't been lying about the book, I finally have it. And if you want to know about the release, I have some flyers with me. Winter or summer? Somebody want to make a choice?
Summer.
Summer. Okay. So I'm going to read For Keeps, which I think is on page 22. Okay. I'm holding on to summer too. So, For Keeps. Day piles onto day, and the blessings stack up, one on top of another, until I'm climbing over them to get out of bed. I can't remember how it was without you. I can't imagine ever going back to wondering who and where you are. Back when you were so much more than a phone call away. I remember the day that haunted me. I would walk around corners and catch mere fragments of conversation. Wedding, marriage, they said. It wasn't even spring. I had known you a week, maybe 2. I love you. I laugh it into the cake pans that sit over the fire and rise and rise. I love you. I write it in words in a card, hoping they'll be big enough to wrap themselves around you, to keep you warm against the world's winter breath. I love you. I scream it against the obstacles to come, against the fears that creep in soul corners, unsettling us and sitting near when we stare out windows at 2 a.m., praying against the darkness. True, only you do that, but I run through days bewildered, looking for answers I already have. I love you, and for now, I am able in this moment to believe that is enough.
Next up, we have David.
I find it incredible that you have the knack of putting me right in after the. So now I gotta be the party pooper after that poem.
You bring in winter?
Oh. Much worse than that. I'm sorry, I should have read the invite and stuff, and I would have brought, if I knew that was like Coffeehouse Press, then I would have brought another one the editors don't like. But I've also read that a few times, and I tend to think that after 3 times, you need to give it a rest. I usually introduce poems, but I'm gonna, if you can indulge me right here on this one. I have a very good friend who is an incredible musician, songwriter, and an incredibly beautiful spirit, and also a gifted psychotherapist, astrologer, and had always, while trying to get into the recording industry, had faced existential crises about the way that female artists are marketed, and that she couldn't just be a songwriter and a songwriter who is oftentimes has a therapeutic aim with their songs. But it had to be something else. So this is called The Beautiful Song. The song you stole from me, the one I sang from my heart, where I find all my songs, the one I sang to heal you, bring you whole, I will not sing anymore. It was meant as a gift, as a balm. Yet you looked at it as an object of lust, a commodity, and took it like a drug, deepening your addiction to your own wound. And still, you have fast refused to heal. So forgive me as I set fire to your air, or not, I really don't care. You have chosen to suffer, you have chosen your lot. You have paid the price, and here's what you've bought. So I will not sing you my beautiful song, not anymore. You have no ears to hear, no heart to learn. This one is for me, for the ones I love. It's not yours, this one is mine and theirs.
Let me unmangle the microphone. All right, coming up next we have Nick. You're over here. And Nick is home.
I'm not described as tall very often, but I'll take it.
I put the mic at the perfect level.
It's perfect, yeah, you've done this before. Great to be here, thank you, everybody. This is called The Inheritance of Budding. Curious and taken with the idea of self as place and self as a story of lineage. So this is from that. The Inheritance of Budding. I am the inheritor of a word not spoken. I am the inheritor of a word not spoken. One that lives in this body as an invisible and mute ghost, wanting to be found in the twilight light of longing, slanting toward oblivion, which is no oblivion, but an unstoppable bursting forth. My ancestral body, a forest tree, and the ghost of the unspoken word traveling outward from the trunk to the branch to the still contained bud on the tip of the outermost twig where I reside, at last passes through me. At last passes through me, transforming both of us into a single flared leaf just sprung green, verdant to the degree of new life. What before could not be said now finds an origin into the world it was all along only trying to love. So the enchantment begins, and the soul of the world echoes back as though it couldn't not. A language of incendence, a gravitational pull to breathe alive right where we are and say what cannot be unsaid. Thank you.
Next up we have Charlie.
As usual, these are sort of soul strengthening events, and appreciate all the voices that we hear in these. You heard Tony say that we were moving away.
Boo!
And if any of you have ever moved before, you know, my wife and I were discussing this. Moving is one of the most stressful things you can do in your life, supposedly. And I think we're there. And so this is a poem I wrote some time ago, but it's one that I'm glad we rediscovered it at home. And it's one I need to say often between now and when we leave. Sometimes even after so long together. Her hand withdrawing startled, her knuckles noticed, each too humble for scrutiny, though displayed openly. My still hand waiting near my body, open palm down. Her slowing breath slows her pulse, pale blue lines on her wrist. Her hand reappearing, mine gathers it, gently turns it over, a thumb lightly tracing each detail.
Next, we have Katie A.
Thank you. So I'll read a few sections from a longer 11-page fragmented poem called Touching Tree Bone. I am full of fear. Gunshots at a concert, lifeline on my palm so short. Scars from that long ago sunburn pile up on I-35 south out of town. Squall in all its vengeance, roofs, beams, walls, foundation. The shadow outside my window, bedroom door, knife out of reach, no gun, strength tied against my throat. These afternoon reveries. Where would I go if tomorrow? Hunker in prairie soil, spy living family from behind polished urn, sheltered, preserved, confined, stagnant shadow of blackness frozen. Would I hear earth echo within my tomb, the ache and stretch of years, the twist and spit of her ruin? Give me ruin. Let me ruinate under heat, through gale and wild mob. Steal me from dying ground. Shake me from cold capsule. Let me ruin. Roots sigh and wait, prod each crack, rust, dimple. How lonely we must be in boxes never releasing. Locked in metal and wood, our hands right there. Why keep us apart? When turned loose, will she be the same earth we left? Will this soil turn ocean silt? Will there be oxygen left for the living? Roots sigh and wait, cradle every sarcophagus, shell, bone cage. Julie rests in patience, 6 years. She is fine to wait a decade or more, or two, for Denny. No rush. Denny speaks to Sandra of Julie often. While they hold fingers above blankets, he speaks of Julie. When they sip wine at piano bars, he speaks of Julie. Is he waiting with her? Is he renting his half of the double plot? And what of Sandra? Can you be jealous of the dead? Thanks.
Next up, we have Jordan.
All right, if you've ever had the privilege of being paid the federal minimum wage, this one's for you.
Oh, I've had the privilege.
It's called $7.25. I ain't got no dollars. I ain't got no dimes. I ain't got no money, man. I'm running out of time. I work until the day ends. I'll work until I die. If I work until my legs give out, they'll still say I don't try. I sold my soul for $7.25. The boys are asking how the fuck I'm still alive. Like, how the hell do you pay the rent? You've got bills, does it make a dent? It seems that you can survive, but do you know what it means to thrive? Well, I rent the corner of a closet in the room by a basin, and if I pay a little extra, then they let me have a blanket. If I work long enough, then I get a half-hour break, and if I work a little harder, then the feds just up their take. They tax me when I'm working, they tax me when I rest, they tax me the worst when they tax me at my best. It's just no fucking fair to work so fucking hard to get looked down on like I didn't play my part.
Coming up next, we have Shannon.
Howdy.
Hi.
I genuinely don't remember when I wrote this, but it's pretty good. One keyword kind of punched out at me. It's called childless ancestors. Fuck a DNA test, Mari. I'm the father. Blood's a thicker kind of water, but what is thicker than history? Call your mother if she'll hear you. Call me if she won't. We can emancipate ourselves from the notion that direct lineage is the only tree in the forest of human kinship. We can light candles for all our childless ancestors. The ones who preached of unkind gods, the ones who sculpted breasts from stone, the ones who dug the village well, the ones who wrote our favorite poems. We are of them all, glory gold and deep red wrong. We eat their fruit, we sing their songs, we squint into the stands and wave, and we get in line to dance again, giddy with the quiet knowledge that they're still there.
The next poet is, I'm going to read it how it's written here. Healey K, 5 foot 4 inches.
I'm gonna get the obligatory wow, it's bright up here. So I've never done this before. I grew up in a small town with a traditional family, and I often feel a little overwhelmed by technology and how much it exponentially grows. And I truly feel like humans can't evolve at that pace, and it's a little scary to me. So that's what this is about. Bear with me for a sec, because this is not my phone. I've observed something I believe to be very strange. Our parents raised children to live in a world that they grew up with. In that world, social interactions happened face to face, and you could get everything you needed from the farmer's market or the store in town. Unfortunately, consumerism, inflation, and ever-changing technology have caused that old world to evaporate, leaving us overstimulated, overworked, and ungrounded. At least, that's how I feel. How am I supposed to figure out the modern world when it was neither made for me nor I for it? No wonder I feel lost. I feel detached from that modern version of reality that lives in my smartphone. Thank you.
Now it's me. I'm Tony. All right, so this is an older one, but since Charlie's not going to be here anymore, I thought I'd try to make him laugh one more time. It's called A Small Amount of Humility. It's from my second book. Starts with a quote. True humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less, by C.S. Lewis. The clock is ticking. The noise should be constant. It should hit the beat all the time, but it's tick, tick, tick. Then it's tick, tick, and tick. Suddenly your heartbeat no longer lines up. You feel as though you're dying by the second or the half second. It really depends on when that tick happens. But feeling death or thoughts of dying is what we do after 40. We balance whether or not this cheeseburger's worth the extra 30 minutes it's probably taking. It is, by the way. In my last 30 minutes, I'll be remembering all the great food I had and forgotten meals consumed in front of the television. And people in life encourage humility. They tell you, be humble in sports, for it's only a game. They tell you, be humble to your family, for they are the ones that will love you, whether or not you ever improve. They tell you, be humble before God, because I'm not really sure, and also, fuck that. When I die, I want people to be so shocked that they shut down like a soldier who developed PTSD as a child. When I die, I want there to be a service so grand that people wish they could have had an invite. When I die, I want it to create a hole so big that physics can't fill it. I want everything I've ever written to be read again to children, even the fuck words, because you should only trust people who curse. I want my stuff to have a presence on eBay. I want a fireworks ceremony so I can scare the shit out of my cats one last time. And I want to be the character that everyone is pissed is gone next season. I want a memorial bench so I can support you. I know I haven't always. Look, when all we're given is a murderous teacher named time, when all we have is what we leave behind, it shouldn't surprise you that I want some immortality. As much as I can get, who's selling it? Where can I buy it? You want to be loved in life, but I want to be loved eternally. I want you to remember me smiling and then laughing so hard that I make zero noise. I want you to remember how blue my eyes were when the sun finally came out. And I want that clock to hit the seconds like it's supposed to every single time. My heart doesn't like the spaces. I would like to thank, first of all, Coffeehouse Press for curating tonight. They brought to you Steve Healey, who's not there, Sarah Fox, who's not there, and Moheb Soliman, who's still here. Yay! Thank you to all of the open mic people. And next month, I believe I pulled it up here. And it's gone now. Next month, I know we're here on the third Wednesday all the time, so I think that's November 18th. I know we have Taiwana Shambly. I know we have Laura Rockholt, Maureen Skelly, and Ryan Morrow, I think his name is. So that's who we got next month. So I'm very impressed that I remember that at all. Thank you so much for coming out to Poets and Pints number 113. And I want to tell you now, because I'm about to put out the ad anyway, that for our 10th anniversary show, because we've been going for over 9 years, the show was started by David, by the way, along with one of the poets that will be here for the February show, Brett Elizabeth Jenkins, is flying in. We also have Sarah DeMulder coming. We also have the Black Crow Warren. We have Desdemona. We have Tish Jones. And who's the other person? Oh, Katie Venino. God damn it. Katie Venino is going to be here. So that's 6 poets. It's a 3-hour show. It's a Saturday night, February 8th. Put it in your calendars. It'll be right here. We will have the whole place. So we'll be doing all kinds of fun stuff. So thank you so much for coming out tonight. Please bring all of your dishes to the tubs on the bar. Please bring the candles, but not the candle holders, to the bar, and the table tents to the bar. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night. I'm Tony Plocido.